Yes, thank you for joining. This is a Zimbabwe Yadzoka live broadcast. I will be touching on three things in this broadcast. I'm going to give an update on Zimbabwe Yadzoka recently launched the Nimbe Ilima in Masvingo. I will do an update on that. Secondly, I'm going to talk about unity. This is one thing that I am going to talk about, that Zimbabwe Yadzoka is going to talk about the whole of 2017 and 2018 leading up to the elections. You are going to be tired about Zimbabwe Yadzoka communicating this message of unity, because it is so important for us as Zimbabweans. Tikabatana tinokunda. So I ask all who are joining and all who are going to see or watch this video, if you don't have this song Tikabatana tinokunda by Paul Madzore, contact us, contact Zimbabwe Yadzoka. We can give you this song, we can give you the songs on the album for free. We want Zimbabweans to play this song. We want Zimbabweans to appreciate the importance and essence of unity. Thirdly, in this live broadcast, I am going to talk about, to comment a little bit about the recent interview by the president of Movement for Democratic Change, MDCT, Tsvangirai. Zimbabwe Yadzoka will give its own reactions on that interview, so stay tuned. To those who are already tuned, if you can hear me, please can you just show me a sign, give me a thumbs up so that I can proceed. Otherwise, thank you for joining Chiguida Phil. Can you also share this video so that we attract more audience? Yeah. Evie, thank you for joining. Yes, yeah, I can see thumbs up. Yeah, so you can hear me. Zimbabwe Yadzoka launched Nimbe Ilima in Masvingo province, and it was a great success, the launch. So I will explain a little bit about Nimbe Ilima. I think most of you Zimbabweans, you are well aware of this concept, which I can say is mobilization by community building. So what we are doing is also trying to introduce new strategies in mobilizing rural constituencies, in mobilizing Zimbabweans, but also using concepts that people can relate to easily, such as Nimbe. I think most of you already know that Zimbabwe Yadzoka also use concepts like Pungwes. So this is an add-on. So what we see was a great success of the launch in Masvingo, and as usual, Zimbabwe Yadzoka were always able to bring the cuts across all walks of life in all walks of life, and also cuts across the political divide. And this is the most important thing, because this is where Zimbabwe Yadzoka comes in very strongly, because we campaign for a grand coalition. Our campaign is on a non-partisan basis. So what we saw in Masvingo were many different political parties, many movements coming in to join in our Nimbe launch. MDCT was represented, Zimfest was represented, RDZ was represented, PDP was represented. So we see all these people coming together, Zimbabweans coming together because they want change in 2018. So this is the most important message that we have to drive, and that we have to show to our politicians, that as Zimbabweans, the citizens are ready. The citizens are united. So it is a great challenge to the politician to listen to the ordinary people in Zimbabwe. Because when we are united, Zimbabweans, when we are united, we can conquer. When we are united, politicians can listen to us. So my appeal to you who are watching now and those who are going to watch this video is that you can come in and chip in and help Zimbabwe Yadzoka in this Nimbe concept, because the Nimbe concept, what it's doing, what it's introducing, is something that people can already relate to. And it's also something that is an add-on to the people's livelihoods. You are not asking people to leave out their jobs. What you are doing is effectively mobilizing the communities around their livelihoods. So it's not time wasted for people to come to attend and listen to the message that we are putting across. At the same time, they are also doing something that is very productive for them. That's why we are saying this is mobilization by community building, a form of sustainable development that we are showing that as citizens as well, we are also capable of doing this on our own. And this is most important, that we can do this as citizens, that politicians can see that as citizens we can manage to do this. It is very important. If there are any questions that relates to the Nimbe issue, you may put them across and I can answer, or you can just put them across and I can answer on another time. But it is important that we help Zimbabwe Yadzoka within this concept. Let's imagine that if everyone who is watching now, if you were going to challenge yourself to make sure that this Nimbe concept is also going to be in your village, that you get this challenge and you take it and you say, okay, I come from Shurugwi, I come from Chiendambuya, I come from Checheche, and I also want this Nimbe concept to be in my own village. This is what we have to do as citizens, to challenge ourselves, because Zimbabwe Yadzoka, it's a citizens movement. It's your movement, it's my movement, it's everyone's movement. Okay? So you can plug in any day, any time. You can tell us which area do you want to focus on. You can tell us which areas do you want to contribute, and this is very, very important. Another second message that I have today is the issue of unity that I have been emphasizing on, and the issue that we have been talking on, but also the issue that Zimbabwe Yadzoka we have been always campaigning on. This is a platform that we have always been campaigning on. And to those who have got access to our flyers, which are available in vernacular languages and are available on public platforms, the flyers that we distribute around Zimbabwe in rural areas, we talk of unity. We campaign for a coalition of political parties and citizens movement, because this is only the way we can reclaim Zimbabwe. If our politicians put aside their personal differences and choose to focus on what is important for our people, on what is important for you and me. The third thing that I'm going to address today is the issue about Zimbabwe Yadzoka's reactions to the interview that was conducted by Tsvangirai recently in South Africa. Zimbabwe Yadzoka welcomes that interview, and we are happy that Tsvangirai, the leader of the biggest opposition political party in Zimbabwe, they are also striking a tone and striking the chords that we as Zimbabwe Yadzoka and other citizens movement have been campaigning for. So to those who listened to Tsvangirai's interview, he touched on important things. Unity was one of those things that we have always been campaigning for. That the only realistic way that we can reclaim Zimbabwe is when our politicians put aside their personal differences, they come together and form a coalition for the good of Zimbabweans, then we reclaim our country, Zimbabwe. Secondly, Tsvangirai also confirmed the thing that we have always expressed as Zimbabwe Yadzoka and other citizens movement, that the differences that we have among the opposition political parties in Zimbabwe is not ideological. So the opposition political parties in Zimbabwe, it's not that they are campaigning on different ideologies. They are not. The differences that are there are personal differences. And Tsvangirai confirmed to this himself. He said the main challenge are personal differences among our opposition political leaders. So the question is, Are we Zimbabweans going to be held ransom because our politicians are having some personal differences? This is what we are challenging as Zimbabwe Yadzoka as we are going around. Because as we are going around Zimbabwe, we are managing to bring together Zimbabweans across political divide. So it shows that we don't have that difference. That difference is exaggerated by those in power for their personal benefits. But the fact that Tsvangirai himself said this augurs well for the unity that we are campaigning for as citizens, because it means even them, the main political players, they realize that there are no substantial differences among them. So what has to be emphasized as we move on into 2017 and 2018 is unity. And another thing that was raised by Tsvangirai that is very important is he confirmed that they are currently looking into the issue of unity, of a coalition. So a coalition is going to come. Zimbabwe Yadzoka has been campaigning for a coalition. Other citizens movement, they have been talking about a coalition. And as Zimbabweans, we are talking about unity. This is very important. Let's keep on pushing our politicians along these lines. Let's keep on defining the Zimbabwe that we want. Because at the end of the day, it's you, it's me, who are going to bear the consequences of whatever decisions our politicians are going to make today. So we need to be involved. We need to involve ourselves. It's a duty that we have to play for our country. I will take questions. Thank you so much, Honored Taruona. Inotodzoka chete Zimbabwe. The time is nigh. Let's keep fighting. Yes, I agree with you, comrade. Zimbabwe Yadzoka. Zimbabwe is going to come back. Our country is coming back. We are reclaiming our country. We have got a very, very perfect opportunity, Zimbabweans, to work together. This is an opportunity that comes, in a generation. We are not going to get this opportunity again. It's a perfect opportunity. If we get united, we are going to reclaim our country in 18 months or in less than 18 months. Okay, what is more important than reclaiming our country, comrades, if I can ask? Yeah. Sabelo, you said, how can we get rid of Mudzimu spirit warambira panyanga? Okay, I think, to be direct, you are asking about Mugabe. What Zimbabwe Yadzoka has been campaigning on is a platform of a coalition. There are a number of things like the electoral field is not played on level, it's not level. But if we get united as Zimbabweans, as citizens, if we get united, if opposition political parties form a coalition, a formidable coalition, it is very possible that we can reclaim Zimbabwe. Okay, in 2008, MDC won elections. Okay, let's look at a situation where in 2018 we are all it's going to be everybody against the ZANU-PF. We will reclaim our country. Comrades, we will reclaim our country. Gambia has shown that this is possible. Kenya showed that this is possible. If a coalition is formed based on basic principles of unity and common understanding, we will reclaim our Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe inodzoka. So we ask you as citizens, in 2017, let's talk about unity. Let's talk about mobilization. Okay? Let's use our energy along these lines. We don't have any major differences. And differences are always welcome if we are fighting for a democracy. But the first step is to reclaim the country that we love. Nothing is more important than reclaiming Zimbabwe first. And then we can talk about many other challenges that we have as a nation. We cannot address a nation when we are not free. So the first step is to get united and free ourselves. Let's free ourselves. Nobody else is going to do it for us. Yes, Alex is a Zuru Rockstar Muringami. You're saying, Ndimi, wear this flag here. I am speaking on behalf of Zimbabwe Yadzoka, a social movement. that campaigns mainly in the rural areas doing grassroots mobilization. But I understand that all social movements, they are pushing for a new Zimbabwe, for a free Zimbabwe. So it doesn't matter much whether I'm speaking now for Zimbabwe Yadzoka, or whether there is Tajamuka, or whether there is this flag. As citizens, we have to get united. Our enemy is a single enemy. Our purpose is one purpose: defeating Mugabe and ZANU-PF come 2018. So this is a year of mobilization, and we have a perfect opportunity to do this. And this is a story that we are going to read. This is a story that historians are going to write about, and this is something that we are going to be proud of. That is, you and me are going to be proud of. That we were a generation that brought the second freedom of our country. Tubele Tubadewa, thank you for watching this, and I ask you, please, can you share this broadcast on your wall so that we get a bigger audience. Promise Sunday, thank you for joining in with unity of purpose. Yes, this is what we have to emphasize as Zimbabweans. As citizens, this is the pressure that we have to put on our politicians. Let's campaign on the platform of unity. When we are united as citizens, we will conquer. When we are united as citizens, we will conquer. When we are united as citizens, we are going to determine our own destiny. This is very important that we understand that 2016 we were able to build a momentum as a citizens movement. Let's maintain this movement. Let's mobilize. Because when mobilization is done by social movements, by citizens, by you and me, we don't have to wait for a politician to come and address us. It's you preaching this gospel of a free Zimbabwe, of unity in your own area, to your own people, because this is what is so important. What is so important that we need now is Zimbabweans. And let me also hasten to address the issue of when we campaign for a coalition. Once we are already campaigning for a coalition, it means that it's not the best or the perfect solutions that we would have wanted. And this is how democracy works, my comrades, my dear comrades. Democracy is about what the majority wants. So we have to understand and realize that among us as individuals, we can have some differences, but we have to listen to the people. We have to listen to the majority. We have to see that we as Zimbabweans, we have suffered. We have to see that our graduates are unemployed. We have to see that we don't have money in our banks. We have to see that people are not getting paid in time. We have to see that people are not getting paid the money they deserve. We have to see that Harare now, Zimbabwe, is being attacked by medieval diseases. A country in the 21st century that is battling with typhoid, with cholera. These are diseases that you must never ever, you have to fight for in this time, but Zimbabwe is fighting against typhoid. So what it means that our country has regressed. And this level, we cannot allow this to happen. And we cannot allow the differences that you have between you and me to go between the love of our country. So let's put our country together. Let's understand that we are not perfect beings, but we need to reclaim our country. We need to free Zimbabwe, and we need to start to rebuild Zimbabwe. We have to listen to the people. People are suffering. People want change. And the people we meet every day on the ground as Zimbabwe Yadzoka, we are able to build a coalition across political divide. And this is the challenge that we always throw to politicians. If citizens movement can manage to do that, why is it that politicians tell us that it's difficult to do? So these are genuine questions that we have to throw, and we have to understand that what we are fighting for is to free our own people. Welcome, Teresa. You are saying at the bottom on the world of poverty. Okay, Ring. Yes, that's very correct. That we are the most poor We are the most poor country in the world. But I mean, 2-3 days ago, we were talking about Zimbabwe with so many diamonds. We know that we have got so much gold in the country. We know that our first lady was buying a ring for 1.5 million. We know that the first family has used more than 6 million for a holiday. And what do we get in return? So we have to reclaim our country as citizens. We have to fight. And this is an obligation that you and I have to stand up, to speak out, to mobilize, and to make sure that this madness, because this is madness, to make sure that this madness is going to end within 18 months. So I encourage you Zimbabweans, I implore you Zimbabweans that it's your duty, it's my duty to do this. Sabelo, you said get rid of ZEC is the only solution. Yes, I understand that we don't have a perfect situation, and in a state like Zimbabwe, in a country like Zimbabwe, you will not have, Sabelo, you will not have perfect conditions. We will continue to demand these perfect conditions. We continue to demand conditions for free and fair elections. And NERA is doing this. Politicians, political parties, the civil society is doing this. We as citizens movement, we are doing this. But in a country like Zimbabwe, you are not going to have perfect conditions for elections. So we have to understand this. And when we are mobilizing, we need to know that, okay, we need to mobilize to make sure that we have a high turnout. Because what it means is that if 30% of the votes of voters are going to turn in, it means ZANU-PF has won the elections. It's as simple as that. But the more we mobilize the masses, the more the rural people came out and vote, the more the millennials are going to vote. It means it's a victory for us, for the people. Sabelo, I can also maybe relate to what happened, for example, if you see what happened in Gambia. Gambia also never had perfect conditions for elections. Okay? But this is why we are now campaigning that we must have a coalition. Because what we are effectively saying is that it's going to be Mugabe against the Zimbabwean citizens who want change. And once we do that, it means we have got a better chance. Because if, for example, in 2008, we were able to do this, what if all Zimbabweans, what if all citizens movements, you and me, we get united and we vote for one single candidate? We will reclaim Zimbabwe. Let's not always say that because we don't have perfect conditions, so we have to forget about elections. What we are effectively doing, if we don't mobilize on that platform, it means we are just handing ZANU-PF another 5 years of power. And Robert Gabriel Mugabe is going to be 94 years next year, when he is going to, to stand for another 5 years. And how crazy are we as a nation that we are going to allow a 94-year-old person to be voted into power, to be our president? Okay, let's forget about dictatorship, let's forget about everything. But the fact that we are just going to have a person who is 94-year-old possibly winning elections next year in our country, what does it tell you about me and you? Okay, it effectively saying that me and you, we are stupid. It effectively means that you and me are not doing our part. Okay, let's do our part first and then complain later. Because this is the problem that we have, that we don't mobilize, we don't campaign, but we in the end we are going to say the elections has been stolen. Yes, elections have been stolen in Zimbabwe, but have you done your part? Okay, so this is a challenge. Ask this to your neighbor. Ask this to your workmate. Ask this to your classmate. Have you done your part? Have you registered? Are you going to register? Are you going to vote? Because I tell you that if we are going to go and vote en masse, ZANU-PF is going there, no two ways about it. Thank you for joining, Nyasha. You are saying you are proud of me. Yes, thank you, my brother. But I'm also proud of you because you have joined in. You have also shared this broadcast. It shows that you and me are connected by one thing, by the love for our country. Nyasha, yes, we may have differences, my brother, and I expect that we should have those kind of differences. We should have those kind of discussions in any democracy. But we should have unity and unity of purpose. And what we want now as Zimbabweans is to reclaim our country, is to free ourselves. And we can do this. Teresa, you are saying this is a transition on the way to democracy. Yes, this is also something that we as Zimbabweans have to understand. Our country, ourselves have been subjugated for the past 37 years. Okay, Zimbabwe has been subjugated under 37 years. And when ZANU-PF also was fighting for liberation in ZAPU, no democratic principles, were being a kind of, because it was a war situation. So when they took over, they did not take, based on fundamental democratic principles. Okay? And this is what we have seen in a post-independent Zimbabwe. It's the same thing that have been perpetuated. Like what they want, it's what they take. What they want, it's what they do. And this is not what we do in the country or in the Zimbabwe that we want. So let's understand that if we are going to build a coalition, if you and me are going to agree that 2018 let's have a coalition that is going to take our country, it's just a step. It's just a transition, to the greater freedoms that you and I cherish, to a country that you want to see your child to grow up in, to a country that I want to see my child grow up in. And how is it going to be when you are going to tell your child that you are also part of the process to free your own people, that you also participated to free your own country? Because I never thought that, I'm going to grow up and start to talk about reclaiming Zimbabwe. I never thought of that. Because when I was growing up, the illusion that we were having is that our country was independent. But it's just an illusion, because our country has never been independent. What we saw is just a transfer of power, to a minority, also to a minority black politicians. And we need to reclaim our country back, to make sure that the majority are participating in the political processes, to make sure that we are opening up spaces for the grassroots, for those in the periphery, for those in the margins, so that they can also have a voice to participate and contribute, to the political and developmental discourse of our own country, so that we can stand back as Zimbabweans and be proud to say that I am Zimbabwean, I come from Zimbabwe. So that you go out of Zimbabwe because you want to pursue other options and choices. This is very important. So we need to defeat this kind of thinking in our politics. We need to introduce a new political culture where you and I can participate. But it starts with you participating, mobilizing for a free Zimbabwe. We have got a perfect chance. We have got 2017, we have got 2018 to fulfill this destiny, and it's in our hands. Zimbabwe is going to be free, but only free if we understand the language of unity, if we understand that what we are going to have in 2018, it's not a perfect government that you and I would have wished for, but it is a transition to a democratic Zimbabwe. It is a transition to a better Zimbabwe. This is something that we have to understand, and we have to know that once we talk of a coalition, it means we are giving in something. It means we are compromising something. But we have to look for the greater good. What is it that the majority of us as Zimbabweans want? It's freedom. And this freedom, we have to get it, we have to defend it, and we have to show that we are citizens by participating in these political processes and discussions. Yes, so what we are fighting, Teresa, is exactly what you are saying. What we are fighting in our politics is politics of elitism, because this is what is happening. What we see happening in Zimbabwe, it's a very few people enjoying the national cake. What we see is a very handful of people. The president is in his cabinet and their children enjoying the national cake, and you and I are suffering. But what they've also perfected is an art to make sure that they divide and rule us. And this is working for them, because when we are divided, they are strong. When we are divided, they can continue to enjoy the national cake. And we don't want this type of politics to also go into the oppositions. We don't want this type of politics to also go into social movements, citizens movement. We don't want this type of politics to go into our civil society. So this is what we have to defend. This is where Zimbabwe Yadzoka is coming in. It's going to Murambinda, it's going to Checheche, it's going to Zimba, it's going to Lupane, so that each and every voice of a Zimbabwean is expressed, it's heard, so that it's not only those in Harare who are going to define the destiny of our country. No, because Harare is just a very, very small place. Why do we allow that? It has to be those people. For example, let's look at our heads. That's almost how much? We have got about 73% or so of our population living there. But what voice do they have? And we don't go there, we don't talk to them, we don't engage them, we don't give them a platform, we don't listen to them, we don't give them a voice. And this is what we have to challenge ourselves as citizens as we do. So, comrades, I implore you, I ask you, chip in, help in. You can do something. It's not, nobody's going to come and help you. Nobody's going to come and liberate Zimbabwe. It's your vote that is going to count. It's you who is going to mobilize that is going to count. And this is important. Muzua Tangi Patches, you say, hey there. Thank you so much, and thank you, Muzua, for joining in. We are talking about unity. We are talking about freeing our people. We are talking about the liberators of ourselves. Teresa, you are saying revival of the philosophy of Ubuntu, dignity, recovered, self-determination. Yes, it is very important, and also as Zimbabwe Yadzoka has been going on, we have been very clear on this, and this is what we are saying. Power has to go to the people. We have to give those people in the periphery a voice. We have to rely on our own philosophies, because the mistake that sometimes we also do is we go and talk to our people in languages they don't understand. Okay? And what Zimbabwe Yadzoka is going there to Chiendambuya, it's going to Mabia, and we are talking about Ubuntu. We are talking about the communal way of life, the essence of life, to show that it's only when we are united, when we can make a difference. This is where we are introduced the concepts like Pungwe. This is where we are introducing concepts like Nimbe, Ilima. It only shows that when we are united as a community, when we are united as a village, when we are united as a town or a township, this is where we can get greater rewards, greater benefits. When we are not united, then of course we are encouraging elitism. Okay? We are encouraging these languages about chef. The politicians are not our chefs. Politicians are our servants. This is something that we have to understand. It's us who vote politicians into power. So we don't have to call these people our chef or Chef Ningi. No, it's wrong. We are the chefs and these people are the servants. Because it's you and me with the power to put them there. And we've got the power to remove them there. So I thank you, comrades, for joining in. I ask you to share this video so that it reached many different platforms. But we as Zimbabwe Yadzoka, we ask you to come in to help us in any way that is possible. We ask you to help other social movements. We ask you to mobilize. We ask you to preach unity. Okay, if you want to join Zimbabwe Yadzoka, if you want to participate or you want to help Zimbabwe Yadzoka, Zimbabwe Yadzoka is in almost in all 10 provinces of the country. After this broadcast, I'm also going to put my number. You can contact me through WhatsApp. And you can help us, you can tell us whichever way you want us to facilitate, because we have got a broad infrastructure around Zimbabwe. What we do, we distribute flyers in many different parts of the country in local languages. So if you want to contribute to this, 5,000 flyers, for example, they cost us $150. Then you know that you have got 5,000 flyers. And when you give Zimbabwe Yadzoka these 5,000 flyers, they are going to reach roughly up to 10,000 people in the rural areas. And this is a very, very, very important role that you would have, because it means that with your $150, you have potentially mobilized up to 8 to 10,000 people. Okay? And you are doing this as an individual. And if all we can plug in, then we are going to reclaim our country. There's no doubt about that. So, Muzua, you are saying, well done, guys. You are doing a great job. United, we have a chance. Yes, this is what we are saying. We are saying Tikabata Natino Kunda. Okay? And this is a song also. We have put this into music. A song that was sung by Paul Madzore on behalf of Zimbabwe Yadzoka. And if you want this song, or if you want the whole album, we are also giving away the audios for free. I'm going to put my number on the message field after this, and you can send me and we can send you the audios for free. But you can also buy this music. Is available on iTunes, on Google. You can also play it on Spotify. But unit of purpose, comrades. I need to thank you, comrades, for plugging in, for joining us. And we are going to continually giving you some updates as Zimbabwe Yadzoka on our activities. We ask you to come and join us. We ask you to participate in any movement or citizens movement of your choice. But what is important is that you have to be doing something. At the end of the day, ask yourself, what have I done today to try to contribute to this political discourse to a new Zimbabwe? Because we can do this, comrades. Teresa, thank you. Victor, your voice is heard. God bless Zimbabwe. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining, and thank you for plugging in. Evie, thank you also. We can't wait for a new Zimbabwe. May God bless the people of Zimbabwe. May God bless Zimbabwe. May we make a commitment that we are going to reclaim our Zimbabwe in less than 18 months. I thank you so much, comrades. Thank you for watching, and keep sharing Zimbabwe Yadzoka stuff, and keep sharing our videos. We thank you so much. We thank you for the support. May God bless you. Bye.